Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. This is the Kohetsu VG-5 Tsuchime or hammered Santoku 180mm knife. So this line of knives has a core steel of VG-5, full stainless steel. The heat treats on that about 6061 Rockwell. And on either side of that core steel, so they've got a 3-layer construction. They've got a softer stainless cladding on either side of that harder VG-5 core steel. And then this has a hammered, kind of a random hammered pattern in it. That's the Tsuchime moniker, so that's your hammered finish, and it's subtle but kind of random, so it adds a nice touch to it and adds a little bit of food release characteristics to this, so that helps a little bit in the food release department. The weight and dimensions on these could vary just slightly, but they should be pretty similar from knife to knife. 172 grams or 6.1 ounces is what this particular one weighs. It's about 180 millimeters on the edge, right on the money, about 7.1 inches, and it's about 300 millimeters long overall, about 11.8 inches. Pretty thin blades. The blade is, I measured about 1.9 coming out of the handle, and then about halfway down about 1.8. And there's not a ton of taper, but the grind is quite generous on these. See how high that grind goes? So the tip gets nice and thin, and this entire line is just they're basically laser performers. I'm always impressed by every knife I see from this line. The performance is absolutely outstanding. So, you know, they've got VG-10 versions and VG-5 versions, and this VG-5, whatever they're doing to them, thinning them out towards the edge, the particular grinds on them, they are just screaming performers. And from my point of view, if I want performance, I really don't care if it's VG-5 or VG-10. These are awesome performing knives. So great value as well. They're priced quite reasonably for what you get. And so it's just an excellent line of knives. This is about 46.75 millimeters tall, so you got lots of board clearance on it. Handles are just kind of no frills, black pack-of-wood, stabilized wood product, full tang construction. Handles are just kind of medium-sized, not super rounded, but just kind of standard style handles. The bolsters are nicely done, and they've integrated those flowing right into, they're not pinned on, so flowing right into the blade, so really nice craftsmanship there. You've got decent bit of polish on the spine, no sharp edges, nice little bit of rounding on the choil, no sharp edges, and the out-of-the-box edge on these is a full-on 7 out of 10. If you look closely, you can see the polish they do towards the edge here. On the right side, they put a fair amount of polish down, and they thin it out towards the edge, and then they put a little bit of polish on the left side as well. And so there's almost, it's not quite a zero grind, but it's a small bevel right at the very edge. And so these things just scream performing wise out of the box. As I mentioned, they fly through stuff, no wedging, just great performers. This blade's quite stiff given its thickness, and it's just a very confident, inspiring knife. Like I said, really thin at the edge, so you want to be a little careful with it, but if you want performance, these things do deliver, and the grinds are well done on these. Balance point handles, you know, fairly heavy, so your balance points are right in there, just behind the choil. Very nice, light, nimble feel. Cool thing about a 180 Santoku, you get a little bit of extra length on there for some versatility. And they can stretch out that profile a little bit. So let's look at the profile. What's nice about these is it comes into a bit of a stop at the heel, and you've got a nice flat section on that back, kind of almost back half of the blade, maybe 40% of the blade. So if we kind of look here, this might give you an idea. So it's got a fairly decent flat section towards the back for chopping, and yet it'll rock pretty high. So good all-around profile on these. Very smooth profile. Like I said, the tips are really thin on them. We'll bring it a little closer here. So since you've got such a generous grind, they can thin it out towards the tip. May not look that thin, but boy, do these things fly through like onion dice and stuff like that. So just, you know, like I said, the performance on these is simply outstanding. And if you're looking for a knife that's very reasonably priced, great performer, as long as VG-10 doesn't concern you, it wouldn't concern me. It's just these are a great line of knives. So they look cool, they perform great, reasonably good on the food release with the hammered finish. So excellent line of knives. So this is the Kohetsu VG-5 Tsuchime or hammered Santoku 180mm knife.